It's time for basketball, and Uber Eats is dropping deals on game day favorites to keep you locked in on the action. Like when you're craving a buzzer beater, but also buffalo wings. Or when an upset makes you want to ugly cry into a pizza. And right now, Uber Eats has game day deals from Burger King, Buffalo Wild Wings, KFC, and hundreds more local favorites. So you can keep your eyes on the ball and your hands on a burger. Order now, only on Uber Eats. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Single Tracks Podcast. My name is Jeff, and today my guest is David Folch. David is the founder and CEO of Dirty Sixer, a boutique bike builder focused on fitting tall riders with big wheel bikes. The Dirty Sixer line currently features gravel, all-road, and electric bikes, and will soon include a mountain bike with 32-inch wheels. Thanks for joining me, David.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you for having me on your show.
So tell us, how did your brand Dirty Sixer get started?
That's a good start. Indeed, because, being 6'6" myself, almost 2 meters, I was riding regular bikes, 64, 66 road bikes. Never found any double XL back in the days. So I was riding those kind of unstable bikes, and I crashed, broke my ankle in 2 parts. And at that point, I was like, okay, let's make something that is going to be actually the right size for us, tall. For us. First of all, I thought to make a bike for myself. So necessity being the mother of invention, I was faced to, designing something bigger, proportionate. And I discovered that there were bigger wheels. They were used for unicycles, and I was having a background of photographer. I often use this analogy of the Photoshop tool to expand the picture. So if you expand the picture proportionally, so when you get the taller rider, you should get bigger wheels. So everything being in proportions. So that's how I got started, trying to design a bigger bike with. Back in the days, 36-inch wheels. That's what. That's the biggest wheel.
Yeah, those were huge.
Yeah, they are, and they've been around for a while actually. So the history of 36 is not totally clear to me yet, but I think it's more than 25 years now.
Oh wow!
That the 36-inch wheel was created. I believe in the U.S. By the company named Cocker. They make vintage style tires for vintage retro motorcycles and cars. So I guess it started there around 25 years ago.
Okay.
So way before I started to try to make proportionate bikes.
Well, you said that you tried riding bikes and you crashed and got injured. Were you like a serious bike rider, or were you just recreational? Like what was kind of your bike background?
No. I'm total recreational. I never took myself seriously. And again, being so tall, you cannot be serious about, riding bikes. It's not a sport that we usually have any advantage. It's not basketball. It's not volleyball or tennis. Biking is definitely, if you want to be professional or serious, you have to, be a little bit more compact, should I say? And
right. Yeah. I mean, I've always wondered about that. Is there like an ideal height for bikers? Particularly, I mean, we're focused on mountain bikers at Single Tracks, and so I always wonder: is there like are smaller riders at an advantage, or bigger, or people in the middle? I mean, it sounds like very extremely tall people your height 6'6" and taller. It is a real challenge to ride a mountain bike.
Yeah, definitely. So that is, and I'm not talking about the low branches on trails. That is a clear
Right.
disadvantage. But
Right.
yeah, for us to be able to be efficient and safe on the bike.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not a racer, so I will not be able to talk about race conditions. But it was pretty difficult to find a balance on a bike, even if you're just like catching a little bit of air
Mm-hmm.
between jumps. When you're tall and you're riding a 29er double XL, which I used to have from a very good company. We might go back there at some point, but Ventana in Sacramento used to make my 36ers, but they also make, and they primarily make mountain bikes. And I used to have one of those, and I loved it. But again, 29er felt like I was jumping on a BMX. So that would be for the best analogy that I can tell. Maybe for regular people that ride
Right.
27 or MX wheels. What if I was asking you to ride your trails with your kid's bike? So
Right.
would you be happy, comfortable, safe? Would you be able to take the same jumps, same lines, same speed, or just having fun?
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically how I translate our discomfort for us tall. And again, 6'6", I realized that I wasn't that tall. Finally, when when I met my customers and I realized that everybody around me that I was working with making bikes was in average 6'10". So finally, I was like 6'6". It's not that tall. So yeah, basically that's how I looked at the problem. What can we do to make something make us tall feel normal on the bike,
Mm-hmm.
or feel like you normal people you can feel on the bike, and of course regardless of how the terrain, how the trails are built. Of course, we're bigger than the usual. We don't fit in cars. We don't.
Mm-hmm.
Our legs don't fit under the table. We bang our heads on doors, so we don't fit everywhere. So of course, when we are on a trail that is a little bit technical, yeah, we always have to think about the head and the branches, and of course, because the bikes are bigger, also you cannot expect to have the same handling or the same agility. Of course, what I hear most of the time is, what about the switchbacks?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course. Switchbacks are not going to be the same on a bigger bike. It's the reality, but it's our reality. We're bigger, we're taller, so we don't fit on tight switchbacks.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, I saw that a lot of your customers are NBA players, basketball players, and even some of those players. I think I saw like Shaquille O'Neal was one of your customers, and
Yes.
picture of him even with like I don't remember if it was a 36-inch bike or a 32,
Yes.
but
36.
even with that, it looked small. It looked too small for him. Like, what is kind of the limit for those bigger wheel bikes?
Well, frame size and riders. I think my tallest riders are 7'5".
Okay. That's got to be, I mean, there's not many people above 7'5" in the world. So
Exactly. So of course, if you look at a population distribution, we are on the top of the pyramid of the height distribution. So the taller you,
and this like more than the top 1%. I mean, I don't know. Do you know the percentage? Is it like top half a percent or something? If once you're up at 6'6"?
yeah, I think it's over 6'5" is 1% of the population from
Okay.
the information I've gathered a long time ago. So, but the population is growing up also. That is
interesting.
That is one reality that I've actually seen in a few reports, is that population is growing up. So we are taller than our dads or grandpa, and it seems that the population globally will be a little bit taller every year coming. So that's also a pretty good thing for the sales.
Right. Right. Well, so what about on the other end of the height spectrum? Like what is the shortest you could be and still ride a bike with 32-inch wheels comfortably? You're 6'6", you ride a 32-inch bike. Could you go any lower than that? Like I'm 6'3", so would I be uncomfortable on a bike with wheels that big?
Yeah, definitely. There's the 32-inch wheel is actually a very good platform to cater to more riders, and not only tall and super tall riders. The analogy that I often use is the 32 is for point guards, when the 36 was for centers.
Okay.
So definitely, I think that if you're bike curious and you have plenty of other bikes in your garage and you're curious about 32-inch wheels, I think that starting 5'8", 5'9",
Oh, wow.
I would say that you might be able to enjoy. But again, it's really about how the rider is getting an N+1 bike and trying something different. I would say that the 32-inch wheels is going to be definitely an advantage over a 29er for someone that is starting 6'2", 6'3".
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, so what are some of the mountain bike geometry challenges involved in designing around these 32-inch wheels? So you got the bigger wheels. Are there clearances or other things that make that design difficult compared to, say, a bike that has 29-inch wheels?
Not really, actually, because of the experience that I have with the 36-inch wheels, which really is much bigger than anything else. So that was mostly the challenges that I've been dealing with for the past 10 years, for more than 10 years when I started the 36er brand. So it's been 10 years that I'm working around those issues. One of the most common comment from people is the toe overlap. So toe overlap is only a problem if you're making a very short frame with 36-inch wheels.
Okay.
And I used to use really longer cranks, which I backed off a little bit recently.
Like how long? How long were the cranks?
I used to put 210 millimeter cranks on the 5XL, but that was on the 5XL. So 5XL, you had to be like taller than 7'1". So you get to
a big shoe size too, I'm guessing.
And of course, bigger shoe size. So that adds even more of the toe overlap issue to resolve. So,
and this was a problem with 29ers too when they first came out, with a lot of them, and also I think gravel bikes even more recently, the toe overlap is an issue.
Yes, because most of the brands are designing compact bikes. So again, everywhere you feel that, the bike is too long, your wheelbase is too long. We were talking about switchbacks. Yes, the bike is going to be inherently longer if you use bigger wheels. And on top of it, if you design it for taller riders, which is always going to be the angle that 36er bikes are designed and fabricated for. I really cater to my tall brothers. And of course, everything is oversized on the bike. It's not a bike that I'm looking at making the lightest possible. What I want is a bike that people that are heavier and taller can really trash around. They can play with it. It's not a fragile bike. It's not a custom bike that is so shiny that you don't want to abuse it. No, the 36er bikes are made to be abused. They are overbuilt. They are over-engineered. And it really makes me happy when I see a big guy, taller than me, heavier than me, jumping stuff or riding no hands or bombing downstairs. That is for me the proof that my job is done. Yeah,
wow. I mean, that definitely seems like it's a challenge to try to, because the tubes are longer too, right? So do you have to use like larger tube stock? A lot of your bikes are titanium, it looks like. And so are you using something different than, say, someone would use to build a 29er?
No, first of all the 36er are made with alloy, so 60, 61 for the frame. There is some titanium frames that I'm making mostly to use as a prototype or testing.
Okay.
But titanium is not something available yet in the lineup. Aluminium allows us to use bigger diameter tubing without too much of a compromise for the weight. And of course, there's a few things that helped the Resixer to reach this kind of level of fabricating is tandem and e-bikes. So most of the time, when I look at tubing, I look at what's being used for tandems or for e-bikes.
Okay.
So because of course you have two riders on a tandem, which equal to somehow some of my customers. So when you have that kind of weight, I definitely look and I took a lot of available and existing solutions from tandems or e-bikes. So yeah, definitely bigger tubing, bigger diameter, different gauge, and definitely a lot of attention to the design to make something that is durable and reliable, and of course fabricating. All the frames are made in Taiwan by a small run family factory that I visit regularly, like every 2 months. I'm in Taiwan, so it's really like the point that I make is 36er are made to be durable, and the safety of the bike is my number one concern. It's not the weight, it's not the latest tech, it's not the nicest shape of whatever tubing. It's really the safety of the bike. Again, when you have 6'10" and around 250 to 80 pounds riders in average on your bikes, you want to be sure that the bike is safe.
Right. That makes sense. We also talked about the challenges of handling on a bike for taller riders, and then obviously with a bigger bike. What's like the bottom bracket height on a bike with 32-inch wheels? Is it similar to what you'd find on another mountain bike, or is it a little bit elevated from that just because the wheels are higher?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, to start with the bottom bracket, I don't have in mind the exact bottom bracket height for the 32 gravel and mountain bike. But yes, there is a few things that influence the bottom bracket height. Is going to be the crank length, and of course the definition of the bike. You don't put the same bottom bracket height for a gravel bike compared to a mountain bike, being an hardtail or full suspension. So yes, of course, the bottom bracket is going to be a little bit higher than your regular 29er. And again, I'm not trying, maybe you've seen some 36-inch bike with a very low bottom bracket. So that was mostly a adaptation that some custom builder did for shorter riders.
Yeah, where you're really in, like it's a big bottom bracket drop from the axle height.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, that bottom bracket position influenced the handling. But again, what I would like to say is handling is not going to be as, how to say that? It's not going to be as much as a concern in terms of the range of the specification and geometry that you can use on bigger wheels, because they are less prone to like very finicky, like a half a degree change in the head tube angle or a few millimeter here and there. You know, it's again because we are bigger and we have so much more influence on the bike that finally the rider skills are extremely important for a big guy on a bike, because again we have more leverage, we have more weight, we can apply more downforce. It's a different point of view when you're making something for a big guy, because again you want stability. You don't want the bike to be extremely easy to turn or fast and flickable. You don't want that, because when someone is 6'10", 280 pounds, and has been off a bike for the majority of his life because he grew up taller than 6'6" at 14 or 15 years old, those guys have a longer learning curve to be able to ride and enjoy a bike. So.
Yeah. And with longer limbs, you have more leverage. And so, like you're saying, a small movement translates into something a lot more at the handlebars or, at the cranks. And I've heard a lot of really tall riders, people taller than me, saying that in a lot of ways, when you're tall, one of the advantages is that you can use your body more for suspension. You've got longer arm length to work with. And you can kind of like take it out a little bit more with your knees and with your elbows, maybe than someone who's not as tall. And I want to talk about suspension, but first, we've seen evidence that Maxxis has or will have a 32-inch by 2.4-inch Aspen tire coming out soon.
Yes.
And it looks like V also makes a 32-inch tire, I believe the T Monster. So has tire availability limited development of 32-inch wheel mountain bikes up until this point? Why haven't we seen more 32-inch mountain bikes, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. The tire availability was a big issue. Maybe not the issue, but one of the things, or maybe the main thing that held the 32, because 32, again, I think started maybe a little bit more than 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So we had crappy tires from a big box bicycle. I don't want to say the name.
But it was like a unicycle tire, right? Is that what it was back then?
And later, actually, no. So the 32 started as a cruiser, a very cheap cruiser sold in those big box. That I don't want to say the name.
Right.
Then the unicycle guys at unicycle.com, they saw the opportunity and they started to make one of their own tire thread that they already had in 36. They started to make this tire in 32, and that kind of snowballed from there. Because when I saw that they were making a better quality tire than the one that was available at the big box store for their cruiser, I was definitely interested in following up with this wheel size.
And this was like a higher volume tire, right? Because you also have gravel bikes and sort of all road bikes with 32-inch tires, but I imagine those are something different. Those are much narrower.
Yes. So the unicycle tire was 2.25 inch wide.
Oh, okay.
So 2.25, and the one that I make with V rubber. So the V tire, we actually make this tire together, the Resixer and V tire.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, this is the T Monster thread pattern, and for the 32, I requested to have 2.4, which is what I thought was a good compromise for a tire that can be used for gravel. I should say monster gravel,
right?
and also for the mountain bike. And that's also a tire that I developed for the e-bike. So the E36er Bosch that we're fabricating right now. And so that's the tire, that's the V tire T-Monster 2.4 that I developed with them, that is on the 336er bikes, e-bike, gravel, and mountain bike. So and the Maxxis, actually I discovered that Maxxis was making a 2.4 Aspen last year at the Taipei show. So that was a good surprise. And that was really cool to see that they were also jumping on the 32-inch wheel train. So that's pretty cool to see a big brand coming up with their own tire. There's a few explanation of this tire, but to be honest, I don't know exactly what Maxxis is going to do with this tire. I have a few of them, of course. I've been testing them for a few months now, a little bit more than 6 months. I've been riding those tires. They're fantastic. They're super light. They're way lighter than the one that I made with Speed Tire, because mine is made for e-bike and heavy riders. So my conception of a tire, my definition of my tire for 32 is almost at the opposite range of Maxxis, because they developed that tire to make it available for cross-country racers. So and bicycle brands. So what we will see if their project is finally launching is very light cross-country 32-inch bike from I guess there's already 2 big brands working on it.
Yeah, right. I mean, that does seem to suggest that there is another market for this, not just tall, but also racing, to see this cross-country race tire. Yeah, super interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, love it.
So obviously, to build a proper mountain bike, you need suspension, ideally front and rear. And it looks like the mountain bike that you're working on is running a fork from Ren.
Yes.
Is that kind of the only option available that would fit a 32-inch wheel at the moment, or are there other forks that could be a possibility for that kind of bike?
So in terms of single crown fork, indeed the Ren is a good solution, because I know Kevin, the founder of the brand. And that was a pretty easy, simple solution to just use their fork with a little bit of modification on the travel and the bottoming out. Inverted fork are usually the de facto solution for bigger wheels, because I've been using in the past for the 36-inch mountain bike that I used to have for just a year or two. I used a big dual crown inverted fork.
Okay.
So I used to have the MRP groove, making my own CNC crowns for this.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but that was a very interesting but heavy fork.
Right.
So, of course, going back to single crown, anything that is inverted should, by definition, fit a 32-inch wheel. It's just a matter, again, of tuning the fork for the tire height to avoid bottoming out.
Right. You have to reduce the travel on some of them, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit, because when you have regular forks with a arch connecting the 2 lower legs of the fork, this arch is usually what limit the compatibility with 32.
Right.
That say, there are some forks for fat bikes that could work. Also, we're testing a few other solutions. But yeah, it has to be a suspension fork made for big fat tires that in diameter are almost just a few millimeter under the 32, 2.4.
Gotcha. Right. Well, so it sounds like you're developing this bike. How close are you to launching a 32-inch mountain bike?
So the hardtail is going to be available to pre-order in a few days. I think by the end of the week. That's usually what I do with the launch of the new models. I offer big discount to the customers that are interested in pre-ordering. So it's like it's kind of a crowdfunding situation. So where you get a big discount, you pay in advance, and you wait patiently. That I deal with all the quirks and all of the fabrication in Taiwan, and produce actually what is ordered. So what I'm trying to do, because it's a small production. It's not custom made. That's really the big difference that I want to, make with and I love custom builders, and I used to work with custom builders. They make fantastic things. but it's one-off. It's basically a prototype when you ride a custom bike. So what I do is that I go to Taiwan and I have this independent firm that is testing, frame, forks, wheels, pedals, everything need to be tested. And all the bikes that I produce are tested and they surpass all of the European norms by a good margin. Sometimes we even break the machine, which is what happened with my own pedals. I designed pedals with flat pedals that are way bigger, 160 by 110.
Oh, wow.
For big feet, and we tested those, and we actually broke the testing machine without breaking the pedals. So that's definitely the big difference, when it's time for producing. And I also don't want to overproduce.
Right. It's not a big market.
No, we are in a different situation now. So it's way safer for a small brand like the 36er to only produce what is ordered. So that's why the pre-order campaign is super important. And people that really want a 32 being gravel or being mountain bike, they can prepay for their bike with usually a big 30% discount. Wait patiently that we make them, and then they get their 36 or 32-inch wheel, again, gravel or mountain bike or e-bike. And that's how I go to production.
Yeah. Are there multiple sizes of these bikes? I mean, you said they're not custom. So how many sizes do you have typically?
Yeah, the 36 All-Road Mark II that I made maybe 2 years ago was available in 5 sizes. So, from XL to 5XL. And for the 32 gravel and mountain bike, we're not going to have 5 sizes because that's way too much in terms of production. So I think it's going to be around 3 size. So might start with XL, double XL, and triple XL. And if there is enough demand for a size large, I might add a size large.
Gotcha. Well, so yeah, you talked about this mountain bike that's coming out within just a few days. Actually, by the time people are listening to this, I think it'll probably already be live. And then you also had mentioned to me that you are thinking about a full suspension mountain bike with 32-inch wheels. Is that right?
Yes, of course. I have already a few prototypes of the 36 full suspension.
A 36, wow.
Yeah, so that is massive. That is really for one kind of riding. So it's a pretty special bike. But I wanted something that was more usable, like a trail bike, like trail or enduro, not a downhill. Because definitely the 36 full suspension that I made is a downhill bike. So it's extreme. So the 32 full suspension, we're working on it. I hope that in a few months we'll have the first prototypes, and it's been designed again with the big riders in mind. So it's not flimsy, kind of super light, and a full suspension that will ask a lot of maintenance. So that was my my goals here, is to make something that is strong and durable for big guys, that doesn't need to be maintained super neat after every ride. So definitely the geometry is going to be something pretty easy and simple. I'm not going to do something with a very complicated rear swing arm and the travel path. It's going to be pretty simple full suspension.
Yeah, like single pivot.
Yes, but efficient, easy to maintain, and on top of it, reliable with heavy riders on it.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, I guess for a lot of those riders, either they've never ridden a bike like that, or they're kind of squeezing themselves into like a 2XL Santa Cruz or something like that, right?
Yeah, actually, recently there are more options for super tall riders. Yes, there is the Santa Cruz double XL. You can find double XLs, maybe Trek Specialized. But I've seen a very few and super interesting, and I wish those options would have been available 15, 20 years ago.
The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Fred Warner, linebacker for the San Francisco 49ers. Abercrombie has the new suits you need, plus all the collared shirts to go with them. The Abercrombie & Fitch Collins suit is the only suit you'll ever need for any occasion. Available in slim, classic, and athletic. Pair with a collared classic. Go with a soft, easy-to-wear sweater polo or a comfortable long-sleeve shirt. With so many different fits and fabrics, you can make a look that's completely your own. Add the Abercrombie & Fitch Collins suit and new collared shirts to every occasion this season. Shop online or in store.
But still, the wheels, like you're saying, the wheels aren't necessarily proportional. I mean, it would be like an adult bike, and then you throw 20-inch wheels on it, and it's just not it's not quite the same. I mean the pedals, like, you know, the seat height is going to be fine, I'm sure, and the handlebars will be about where they need to be, but you're on smaller wheels than you need proportionally, I'm guessing.
Exactly. So there's the dynamic of a bike that is undersized. Even if the ergonomics are good, like you said, even if you can definitely tweak the ergonomics on the bike, but ultimately the center of gravity of the rider, and we're talking not only static, but when we are riding and we are moving that big torso around. This is where the bigger wheels and the longer wheelbase and all of that geometry, all of the work that goes into designing something that is balanced for a bigger guy. So I was about to mention Nikolai. That is a German brand that I really like. They make double, triple XL bikes based on their regular geometry.
Wow.
And I really love what they're doing. They are really on top of the gearbox and crazy ideas like that. But again, I saw recently a picture of one of their customer that must have been 6'10" on a 27.5 wheel bike.
Oh, wow.
And the ergonomics look good. The rider looked like he could be comfortable on the bike. But when I see this tall and heavy rider on those tiny wheels, I'm like, this is where dynamics are not going to work for this guy, because again, it go back to what kind of riding are you doing, and what kind of rider you are.
Right.
So of course, if you're riding BMX, if you're riding dirt jump bike, if you need something that is really small under you, that need to be flicked, that need to move fast under you, yes. Smaller wheels are going to be, and that's what BMX and dirt jump bike use, 20, 24, maybe 26-inch wheels. So yes, if you are into this kind of riding, big wheels are not going to be an interesting solution for you. But if you're a regular rider, trail rider, like to catch air a little bit, but not big air, we're not talking about Red Bull Rampage kind of jump. No, the 32 is not going to be a Red Bull Rampage bike tomorrow or not in 10 years. I don't think so. Unless all of the riders are 2 meter high. And at that point, yes. But that might be, that might take 30 or 40 more years for that.
Right. Evolution. Yeah. Well, obviously your bikes with 32 and 36-inch wheels, you're focused on tall riders and extremely tall riders. At the same time, there are a lot of comments on your Instagram posts with these bikes from people who I'm assuming are not tall riders, but they seem to be really against this idea of a mountain bike with 32-inch wheels. And I'm guessing because people are afraid this is going to be like a new standard, or it's going to be 29ers all over again. Is that, I mean, we did talk about like there is this Maxxis tire and maybe there is some use for it in racing. Do you think 32-inch, could it ever be like a 29er thing, or is it always going to be really better suited for extremely tall individuals?
So yes, that's an interesting take about how the mountain bike comments are like totally frightened about new wheel size, but it's not about replacing 29 or signing the death of 26. I'm totally against that idea. I still believe that all wheel size have a usage depending on the rider's height, depending on what you need from your bike. I think 26, even 24 is perfect for cargo bikes. There's a lot of usage for mountain bike 26-inch wheels for smaller riders. So again, the 32 is just going to be an additional solution for people that are interested in, that are maybe over 5'8", 5'9", and are curious enough. There might be a good usage for more people on 32 than there was on 36. So that is one aspect of the thing. But yes, definitely, if people can see that not as a new standard, but as an additional solution, because I'm not reinventing hub spacing. I'm not reinventing crank thread or press fit or whatever. These are the things that are actually bothering me.
Right.
Well, not much from the hub size, because since the beginning of 36er, I've been using fat bike hubs. And like I said before, e-bikes, tandems, and fat bikes really enabled 36er to make the bikes like they are now, because thanks to fat bike hubs and big brakes from e-bikes or tandems, or a lot of things that that other type of bicycle parts have been really important for the evolution of 36er. So fat bike hubs, 150 in the front, 197 in the back, because it's a better triangulation. You can make a really strong wheel with those flanges far apart. So that is something that, again, when you have big and tall guys on your bike, you want to be sure that you start from the beginning with the right hub size. So that's one of the things.
Right. And on fat bikes, one of the challenges with that wider hub is that Q factor, right? But I'm guessing for a taller rider, a wider Q factor is actually an advantage. That's going to feel more comfortable. Is that something you consider?
Yes, of course. The Q factor. There's two things that, because usually tall riders are maybe have a wider hips. So at that point, it is one thing that might help for them, but also because we have longer legs. So the angle of how the leg from the hip goes down to the pedal, this angle is less less acute than if you're shorter. So because we have longer leverage, longer legs, wider hips, the Q factor of a fat bike is not really a problem for our customers.
Wow, interesting. So what's next for you in terms of developing these big wheel bikes? It sounds like the mountain bike is the current project, and I'm sure you'll be busy with that for a while, but what else are you looking at in terms of these big wheel bikes?
Yeah, so there's a lot of work already to deliver the e-bikes first. So the e-bike, actually, I made the two wheels available on the e-bike. the 32 is available for the smaller size and the two bigger size that are available on 36-inch wheels. So finish those e-bikes, deliver, and at the same time launch the fabrication of the gravel and mountain bike 32. So the mountain bike 32 is going to be the hardtail to begin with. The pictures that you've seen that I published are really of a test mule. So it's really not the final geometry that we're going to have on that mountain bike. It's going to have a much slacker head tube angle and a lower top tube. So there's a few things that are going to change in the geometry of that hardtail 32. We mentioned the full suspension. That's been a long process too, because it involves much more design and engineering than a hardtail. I hope to have a prototype in a few months with this full suspension, and the future might be to put some electric motor in the mountain bike hardtail to begin with.
Yeah,
so
it's a lot of things to try to keep track of and to make work with this.
It's
wheel.
interesting, and there's a lot of other applications we can talk about with big wheels, but I have a lot of crazy ideas. Working on finding suppliers for another really crazy stuff coming up. But again, it's going to be something with mixed wheels. It's not necessarily going to be a mountain bike, but actually, just to go back on the mullet, like we say now, yes, there's going to be a mullet version for the full suspension. Because I do believe that 32-inch front will really help you on big downhill stuff or gnarly enduro. But definitely when you start to really go very steep, there's really gnarly downhill trails. I think the mullet with a 29 in the back is going to be a good way to appreciate the advantage of the 32 in the front.
Yeah. Well, we didn't really talk about it, but what are kind of the constraints for you to develop these things? I mean, I assumed it would be tires, and it sounds like at least now there's a couple of choices. And then you also have a fork that you can use for a big wheel bike. But are there other components that make this a little bit more challenging for those kinds of projects?
Yeah, not really. Like you said, the tire, for now, the most aggressive tire is the T-Monster. But yes, there will be another tire specific for more enduro, more trail usage. So yes, there will be another tire. I'm working on it. The fork, yes, we have 140, 150 millimeter now with the fork. There's also, going back to dual crown and inverted fork, there's also a few other forks that we can use that are dual crown. So not going to mention yet the potential partners, but yes, there are a lot of interest. Actually, it's now pretty interesting to see the brands contacting me and asking me for information of how to develop together forks. So yeah, there's going to be more stuff, interesting stuff. And again, there's nothing that the 32 makes extremely challenging compared to the 36. To be honest, the 32 is not a walk in the park, I would say. But after 10 years of rejections, after 10 years of comments from people that are not even remotely concerned by 36-inch wheels because they will never ride one or be tall enough to ride one. After that more than a decade working on 36, by definition, the wheel is smaller. it has less resistance for anything related to tooling, related to acceptation from people. They're like, okay, well, it's bigger than 30. 32 is bigger than 29, but it's not as big as 36. So they have,
Right. You started with the hard one and you're working your way backwards.
I don't know if it's smart, but that's how it happened. So yeah.
That's how it worked out. Yeah. Awesome. Well, David, thank you so much for taking the time to chat about big wheel bikes and share what you're working on. I learned a lot, and it's definitely really cool to see what you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff, and thanks for having me on your podcast. It's a real honor.
Awesome. Well, you can learn more about the bikes we talked about today at dirtysixer.com. And you can also follow David and the brand at Dirty Sixer on Instagram. That's all we've got this time. We'll talk to you again next time.